Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is the final chapter of Chance Ball, chapter 86, and this one is titled Deja Vu. Wait, he called feebly over the din of the nurses chatting and equipment beeping. Wait, where are you taking the baby? Wait, come back. But your little one was whisked away, and he was forced to stay with you in the empty room while the nurses attended to you. Where is the baby going? He asked one of the nurses. They just need to make sure your little one is okay. His oxygen levels were very low, one nurse said. You said he. Is he a he? Is he a boy? Dabi asked urgently. Do I have a son? I'm pretty sure it was a boy. Heather! The nurse shouted to another nurse at the door. Was it a boy? Yeah, the nurse called Heather replied. Can I see him? Dabi asked, still torn between staying next to you and going off to find his little baby that had been taken away so quickly. He'll be back soon, the nurse said to him, as she busied herself checking you over. Somewhere in the process of all of that, they had cannulated you, and now you were receiving fluids into the back of your hand. Baby, Dabi said to you, leaning down over the bed as you stared vacantly at the ceiling, panting rapidly. Baby. Huh? We have a boy. You have a boy, he said with a loving look in his eye. A boy? You asked, saying the word but not really understanding it. Yeah, baby. A boy. A baby boy. He leaned down and kissed your forehead, and all you did was nod, still looking a little vacant. The nurses milled around and cleaned you up, while you still remained a little out of it, and Dabi kept asking if he could go and see his son. They're bringing him back in soon, a nurse placated him. She had gone out there to find out when the baby would be back in the room, because Dabi kept asking about him, and in another 10 minutes the little boy was carried in and placed, wrapped up, in Dabi's arms. You were still very hazy at this point, and didn't even register who Dabi had in his arms until he turned to you and showed you the baby. Here's our boy, he said, absolutely enamoured with this tiny little one. Boy, you whispered, starting to come around now. Dabi nodded and gently placed him in your arms once you'd opened them and held them out, and then once he was in your arms you came around a little bit more. Dabi grabbed the bed remote and sat the bed up a little bit so you could see your baby better, and then you all spent a moment looking lovingly down into this little bundle that was wrapped up and happy. After you had spent some time quietly together, Dabi pulled his phone out and took a picture to send to your family and to his mum as well, then hit send. Messages and calls came flying back in an instant, and he left the baby with you so that he could go out into the hall to answer questions. You looked down at your newest member and smiled softly at him. Koemi's looking forward to meeting you, you said gently to him. He didn't stir. An hour later, Koemi, with your mum and dad, came rushing through the door. You had been moved to a maternity ward by then, and were all set up in the bed there to recover from such a fast labour, and they all ran to the hospital-issued baby crib and fawned over the little boy while you chuckled from the bed. Hi, yes, I'm here, you joked. Mum! Koemi cried with delight when she saw you. She had been so focused on getting to the baby that she completely forgot about you. Hi, sweetheart, you said with a chuckle, holding your hand out to try and help her onto the hospital bed. Hey, whoa, gentle. Mummy's recovering from having a baby, Dabi warned her, grabbing her around the waist and gently lifting her up so that she wouldn't clamber all over you. Is the baby all out now? She asked, and it made you laugh. Yeah, all out. What did you think? There was still some limbs or something inside, Mummy? No, I thought maybe the other one was still in there, she asked. What? You asked with confusion, with a little chuckle, a little bit creeped out by her comment. The other boy, she said. No, sweetheart, there was only one. You pointed to the baby that was now in your mum's arms. Oh, Comey said, looking at the baby and then looking back to you. Well, he's the good one. What the actual heck? Your brain screamed at you as you gave Dabi a really creeped out wide-eyed stare that he returned. Can I have a cuddle? Ko asked, and your mum got her to sit down properly so that she could let her have a supported hold of the baby while you chatted to your dad. Do we have a name? Your mum asked you. What's his name? Oh, Daddy, what name did you like? You asked him. Zen, Koemi offered. His name is Zen. You looked from Dabi to her and then back to Dabi. I like it, he said with a nod. Sounds nice with all of our names. Okay, Zen it is, you resigned, somehow feeling like little Koemi had a previous life connection to this baby somehow. You all spent a little time chatting about the little boy when the doctor came into the room and greeted everyone there. Miss Yin, if I could have a private word with you and your husband here, he said, gesturing to Dabi. Oh, sure. Mum, Dad, do you mind taking Koemi out for a second? Sure, love, your mum said, gently taking the baby from Koemi and giving him to you. The doctor waited until they had left, and then he stepped closer to you and Dabi. Congratulations on your little boy. He is relatively healthy, and everything is fine, he said, his voice sounding like he had something else to add. But, Miss Yin, we would like to keep you in for a little longer as we have some concerns for your health. What is it? You asked, a feeling of dread washing over you. Well, to put it as simply as possible, your little boy was one of two. He had a twin, but unfortunately the twin miscarried at some point in the pregnancy, and judging by the sample we took from your amniotic fluid, you have mild sepsis. What? You asked in shocked surprise. Oh my god, Comey was right, Dabi mumbled with a creeped out look on his face. At that point your body filled with goosebumps. Holy crap, you whispered. I'm sorry? The doctor asked. Oh, sorry, our little girl said something about our boy being a twin. She's 4. How the hell did she know that? You said, getting more weirded out by the second. Children say very odd things, the doctor said with an amused smile and a shake of his head. They have very vivid imaginations. Buddy, this goes beyond vivid imagination. She literally prophesied this, you thought, as you stared at him. We would like to do some more tests, the doctor continued, but at this point we aren't too concerned. Okay, you said nervously. I'll be scheduling an ultrasound for you tomorrow. Okay, you replied, still cuddling your little one in arms. The doctor discussed a few other things and then left, and your family came back into the room to continue chatting and cuddling the newest member of the family. You didn't want to concern them by mentioning what the doctor had said, so decided to just play it down until you knew more about what was going to happen. You told them that you'd be staying in hospital for a few more days, and your mum didn't seem too concerned by it, which was good. Arrangements were made for Koemi to stay with your mum and dad until you'd come home, as Dabi would need to be in and out of the hospital to visit you, and it would be easier if she stayed with them. She was stoked about that. Sleepovers at Grandma and Grandpa's house always meant lollies and sweets and everything nice, so you promised her that you would see her very soon, and then you'd be all back home together again. Daily you went for scans and tests, and eventually they decided to go up inside and clean you out. So on day 4 in the hospital, you pumped some milk for your little one and then got prepped for surgery. As always, Dabi was right there beside you, supporting you through it all, and when you woke in recovery later, he was there with your little boy in arms. Hey, Mama. He greeted you as you came around from being unconscious. You croaked. How do you feel? You croaked again, your eyelids feeling like they were glued together. You were having a hard time keeping them open. Want to have a cuddle of your baby? Dabi asked. You rolled your head to the side and shakily reached an arm out to him, so Dabi gently put him down in your arms, and you closed your eyes again for a minute and just held him. It's done, you thought with relief, as you lay there with Dabi beside you and your baby in arms. Your recovery from the surgery was slow and gradual, but in time you managed to get out of the hospital and back home. Unsurprisingly, your mum was super worried when you did tell her about what the doctor had said, and she took a few weeks off to cook for you and help with the kids. Your little boy was super chilled. He never cried, only for food, and loved being in Daddy's arms, so Dabi carried him around a lot of the time. Koemi was such a loving older sister, but she would get frustrated that little Zen wasn't able to get up and run around with her. You had to remind her that he was only a little baby still, and that she would have to be patient. Slowly Zen grew. His placidness kept everyone in the house calm, and his mouth kept your wallet on the red line. Boy, he could eat. By the time he was 3 months old, he could guzzle down a 250ml bottle of formula in 2 seconds flat, and then whinge for more. You're lucky Daddy's picking up Koemi from school today, you said to him as he grumbled in your arms while you waited for the bottle of formula to heat up. You have time for a second bottle. If Mummy had to pick her up from school, then you wouldn't have been able to have this one, you little fatty. You chuckled and kissed his chubby cheeks, and then reached for the bottle warmer as it beeped. Once you had picked the bottle out, one-handed, and tested it to make sure it was warm enough, you popped the teat into his wide-open mouth, and he latched onto it and sucked like his life depended on it. You're a bottle monster, aren't you? you asked him as he walked over and sat down in the chair at the table so he could enjoy his drink in peace. Just then the front door flew open and in marched Koemi, done with her second day at Nekoma Primary Kindergarten. "Well, hello," you said with surprise as she marched in with a look on her face. "Did you have fun at school?" "No," she said firmly. "It was not a good day." "Oh, sweetheart, what happened?" you asked her. "This boy at my school wouldn't let me play in the playhouse and he was standing in front of the door, so I told him to move out of the way," she announced, moving her hand in the motion of pushing someone out of the way. "And did he move?" you asked, still with Zen in arms, sucking ferociously on the bottle. "No, he said he would only move if I gave him a kiss because he said I was pretty." You burst out laughing and Dabi poked his head around the corner. "Sound familiar?" he asked cheekily. "Yes, it does," you said to him, and then spoke to Koemi again. "And so what did you do?" "I punched him in the face and he fell over, so I kicked him in his bum and then stepped over him and played in the playhouse," she said with a firm nod. You cackled and looked at Dabi again. "And does that sound familiar?" you asked him. "Yep, and I'm glad for it," he replied with a smirk. "You keep hitting those boys, baby. Don't you kiss any of them," he said to Koemi. "Boys will never change," you said to Dabi with a chuckle again as he walked over and kissed your forehead. "Hey, I saw the chance that day and I took it." "Chance ball," you said with a smile. "Yeah, exactly," he replied. And that is a wrap, folks. That is the end of Chance Ball, another book done and dusted, tick. Thank you all so much for listening along to this story. I hope you enjoyed it, although it was somewhat directionless at some points. I know that I'm usually wrapping up one book and starting the next book immediately, but I will be taking just a 2-week break just to give myself some time. Last year, or the last kind of 2 years-ish, I have just been pushing myself and I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends and I'm going to come to a burnout. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to take 2 weeks off before starting the next book, which will be Kuro, because the Kuro book does tie in with the Dabi book. There are crossovers at different points. In that meantime that I'm taking time off from starting the next book, which is Kuro, I will be continuing the mini-series, the Moichiro Demon Slayer mini-series. So that will be running still same time once a week, just to give myself a little break. I promise I will be coming back full time, but I just need to take a breather. And I will see you in the Kuro book. The completed Chance Ball book will be up in a few minutes. Just give me a second. It's 2 parts because it's quite a long book, as you've seen, as you've experienced as we've started this one. So it's in 2 parts. I think chapters 1 through to 43 and then 43 till the end for part 2. But I'll see you in the completed book for those who have not seen it yet. And I will hopefully see you all once again when I return with the Kuro book.